It is December 27th, 6 o'clock at City Hall for a common council meeting. Media has been notified, agendas have been posted. Clerks, please take the roll call.
David Holt.
Here.
Steve Jopek. Eileen Daniel.
Here.
Carrie McCloskey.
Here.
Gerald Anderson. Here. Thomas Barnett.
Here.
Tom Kelly.
Here.
Leanne Felton.
Here.
Chris Hennis.
Here. We do have quorum. Please stand for the pledge. Got it. It was like right there. Okay, moving on to number 4, which would be public comment. I have Mr. Kurt Helke.
Turn your mic on. There you go.
I'm going on my 25th year as an employee of the city of Rhinelander. For most of that time, I've been president of the police union. It's my responsibility to come here tonight and at least give some perspective on what's going to happen in closed session. I feel as though in the past year and a half that it's been kind of a telephone game with the information being filtered through, getting to council, and then not knowing what's discussed in closed session, and people having different perspectives on things and what our ideas are. I've been very diligent in trying to keep those doors of communication open and poking people when necessary, when it seems as though things get stalled, as they seem to have happened far too often. But I think what's presented to you tonight is definitely fair and equitable if you do your homework and look at things such as external comparables and things like that. And again, I mean, we've gone this last year without a contract, and I'd really like to see you guys objectively do what's fair and agree to what we propose to you. It's I think it's in the best interest of the city, and it's fair to us officers. The last thing that came back to us, it didn't even offer us back pay for the entire 2022, which was quite frankly insulting. So again, I mean, I'd like you guys just to objectively look at this stuff and not have to drag this through the dirt any longer than it has been already. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Any of the alders have anyone for public comment? Not seeing none. Moving on to mayor's comments. So we do have a public hearing on 123 regarding Olson Lane special assessment. This is for adding to water utilities that were done prior this year. Our next council meeting, we should be prepared to transition over to Chromebooks. So you won't be having a printout packet. It would be the Chromebooks at our next one. And then I would refer some of my time to Mr. Randy from Public Works to talk about snow removal policies.
Thank you, Mayor. It's come to the Department of Public Works' attention from a few different sources about complaints over snow and ice removal. I just want to say a few quick words to address this. But I also want to point out that our street foreman, Tom Roser, is not able to attend tonight. His son was just married today, and he and the new bride are heading to Alaska for his new military assignment. But he would like to be here to speak as well. December 6th, Tuesday, myself and our foreman for the departments had an action meeting. The primary item was how we were going to address the big snowstorm that was coming. We put together an action plan, and then it started at 3 a.m. the next day, where we had every piece of equipment we could get running was out there with all the operators. And when we do this, we also bring out our 2 mechanics, our fleet manager and our mechanic, to keep the machines running. Our goal, because the snow that was coming was wet and heavy, and there was going to be a lot of it, was to bombard, put every effort we could to get initial removal done prior to the peak hours in Rhinelander, which typically start around 6. So we were full force trying to get everything out. This was a unusual storm. We had rain in the beginning, and then it got colder, and then it was sleeting. Then the snow started, but the real problem was in the last 20 days, we have not had a temperature over 15 degrees or such. This has prevented us, it's created a hard pack that just makes it hard to remove. All impossible right now. Ice typically starts to lose its ability to dissolve at 15 degrees or less. So I just want to point out that there has been a plan. We've been sticking to this schedule of 3 a.m., 10 and a half hours on typically. Then they come back at 3 a.m. in an attempt to keep the snow down off the streets. The ice is something that has been a problem. I believe it's unique. I believe with the warmer temperatures that are coming now at the end of the week, you should start seeing the bare roads. We will then bombard. I'll have all crews out, extending the hours, bombarding with salt, and then doing a lot of scraping. So that is what I had to say, Mayor. Do you want me to take questions, or can I dodge those, please?
So since it's only mayor's comments, I would request any of the alder people, if they have questions, to reach out to Randy whenever you have time. So.
That is something I'd like to add. I strongly encourage you to reach out to me. I welcome any input. I welcome you to be part of what we're doing. Reacting on social media can be a very slippery slope. It can be very discouraging to our workforce too. So again, always willing to listen to anybody. I'm always willing to bring you on board. So.
Well, thank you. Moving on to number 6, which is a public hearing. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing on a taxi fare rate increase. Would anyone like to speak regarding this topic? So just for some background knowledge, we're looking at increasing the fares for all demographics, $1.25 per ride. I did have one family reach out who was concerned that we would be double charging for multiple people riding in the same taxi. And my understanding is it's just a rate increase, not an occupancy rate increase. So for their point of view, the increase would be $1.25, not $2.50, if that makes sense. I don't know if any of the alders have anything. Nope. Okay, so since it's a public hearing, I got to ask it 3 times, so this would be the second. Does anyone have any comment regarding or questions with the public hearing for the taxi fare increase? Not seeing none. Third and last time for the public hearing for the taxi fare increase. Any questions or comments? Not seeing none. I will close the public hearing, and we could move on to if we want to make a motion to approve said increase. Or if there's any questions or statements by council. Mr. Anderson?
Is approval of the increase on the agenda?
Yes.
I would refer to Steve.
Yeah, it's the last item on the last item on the public notice. It says, be it further resolved that the city will then place on the agenda of their December 27th, 2002 meeting the resolution increasing the fare from the $4 adult fare and the $3 senior or disabled fare to $5.25 adult fare and $4.25 for senior or disabled fare, and that said rate would be taking effect as of January 1st, 2023, pursuant to the action of the City Council, if the Council does so act. That was on the notice for the meeting tonight, for the public hearing tonight.
Mr. Holt?
I'll make a motion to approve that resolution increasing the fare from the current $4 adult fare and $3 senior or disabled fare to $5.25 adult fare and $4.25 senior or disabled fare as presented.
Anderson, second.
Any other discussion? Not seeing none. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Thomas Kelly,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson. Aye. David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Steve Jopek.
Okay. With that, motion passes. Moving on to 7A, which would be discuss and/or approve amending 5-07-9-05 outdoor storage. Don't know if anyone from council has any questions or anything to discuss.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, as you know, at the last meeting, I said to the council that I would break this into two separate ordinances because that's how it makes sense. Because the outdoor storage is saying you can't store your campers except under as the circumstances, which means you can store them, but you got to store them properly. The second thing which we talked about was using the campers as a living equate, and that's why we created under this chapter 4.05.13, which talked about the use of vehicles, and that's why you have two separate ordinances. One telling that it's okay to store campers, and number two saying it's okay to use the campers for that limited amount of time that you all agreed on at your last meeting. I think that makes it a lot clearer than mixing storage and use all in the same. And when you look it up in the agenda, or excuse me, in the index, this will make it a lot clearer to find out where does it say I can camp in my backyard, so to speak. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Anderson?
I move adoption of City Ordinance 2220 on recreational vehicle storage. And should I include in the same motion to waive the second reading?
Yes, you may.
Correct.
Yeah, that's included.
Holt, I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion? Not seeing none, clerk, please take the roll call.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Jopak, Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Motion passes, ordinance passes. Moving on to B, which is discuss and/or approve 4-05-13 camper outdoor recreation vehicle.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Anderson combined both A and B into one motion, so we've covered both A and B.
I thought you waived a second reading.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I need my ears
Yeah,
cleaned.
that's what I combined.
Correct.
I
Gotcha.
apologize profusely.
Just make sure you notate that the attorney was wrong for once. Just. But, Mr. Holt?
Make sure the press got that. Yeah.
I will make a motion to approve
Anderson, second.
Resolution 2022-21 4.05.13, campers and recreational vehicle use within the city.
Anderson, second.
Cool. Any discussion? Mr. Anderson?
Just one note, third from the last line on page 6 of our packet, that the word of should be or, I believe, any parcel or lot. If that can be considered a scrivener's error, I would not object.
I would also like to point out that I'd intended to also include in my motion to waive the second reading. It's kind of been a rush.
And I'll second that.
Okay. You got the fix on your end? Cool. Any other discussion? Not seeing none, clerk, please take the roll call.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Stephen Jopak, Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Okay. Ordinance passes. Since we had no holdovers from last meeting, we have nothing for old business. Moving into new business, which would be common council meeting minutes from 12/12.
Mikulowski, I'll make a motion to approve the Common Council meeting minutes of December 12th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Holt, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Motion passes. Moving on to B, discuss and/or approve the Oneida County Humane Society contract. So this was presented to us a while back, and we discussed the dollar amount aspect, from our budget hearings, where we approved the full amount. Besides that, everything else in their contract is still the same. I just felt, since we didn't actually discuss the contract, nor did you guys give blessing, that it was appropriate to bring it back prior to signing it. So I don't know if the board wants to move forward with their contract or any questions they may have. No, this is Humane Society contract. Mr. Holt.
I will make a motion to approve the Oneida County Humane Society contract from 1/1/23 to 12/31/23 as presented.
Mikulowski, second.
Second, okay. I don't know if Ms. Anderson, you had a question or just more to say, okay. Any other discussion? Not seeing none. We should do a roll call, yeah, clerk, please do a roll call.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
Steve Jopek, David Holt,
Aye.
Okay, with that, motion passes. Moving on to C, which is a pay order request number 3 for $15,687.88. So this came from Mark, but Mark was on vacation, so he wasn't able to attend. This should be the final pay app for our capital improvements from this fiscal year.
Barnett, I make a motion to approve pay order request number 3 for $15,687.88.
Hold second.
Any discussion? Not seeing none. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Stephen Jopek, Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie McLowski,
Aye.
Okay, with that, motion approved. Moving on to D, which is discuss and/or approve a request, signed resolution from Art Start regarding vibrant spaces. When you look in your packet, that will be starting on page 20, and then moving past the layout and some photos. So they're not looking for any financial assistance from the city or overhead. It's more just they need our support applying for said grant. Mr. Barnett?
Barnett, I make a motion to have the city of Rhinelander prepare support documents for Art Start's application to WEDC's Vibrant Spaces Grant and the T-Mobile Hometown Grant for the Art Park.
Mikulowski, second.
And that the city provide a signed resolution authorizing the submittal of the CDI grant program, including the Vibrant Spaces pilot.
Mikulowski, second.
Any discussion? Not seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Motion passes. Moving on to E, discuss and/or approve consideration for Tim and Sandra. Refer to Steve, our attorney.
Yeah, this was a claim that was made by Tim and Sandra Sheffer with regard to some material that came off the roadway, tarish material from a sealant that was put on the street that got onto their car, and that they had to have it removed, and they filed the claim. My recommendation is we deny the claim. At this point, it will be turned over to our insurance carrier.
Any discussion? Mr. Holt?
Does that require a motion, or can we just let it sit?
Well, yeah, you'd have to deny the claims. You have to move to deny the claim.
Okay, I'll make a motion to deny the claim.
Anderson, second.
Any other discussion? Not Ms. Anderson?
I'm sorry, it's just about tar getting on their car?
Yes, and having it removed, you had to have it removed at a professional removal. At least that's what the claim is.
Right. Huh?
Remember, Austin?
5 to 7.
Yeah, it was about five. I was gonna say $5,000 to $6,000. Yeah.
But I know it's hard to get off your car sometimes, but I don't know.
Well, I'd rather not discuss the claim.
Yeah,
I'd rather move it on to our insurance carrier, if you don't mind. That's what the motion is.
If we move it on to our insurance carrier and they deny it, does it come back here?
Nope.
Okay,
Then it's denied.
okay.
But that doesn't mean, under the law, they have to file a claim or they can't sue the city. Okay, once they filed the claim, then we'll submit it to our insurance company. If we don't respond within a certain period of time, then they're free to bring a suit at law. Otherwise, they're not free to bring a suit at law. There has to be a denial. It's a procedural thing. We can go back to the 18th century when they devised these rules, but that's the way that's the way the game's played, so to speak. Now, I mean, if you want to pay it, then vote no on the motion, and then we'll probably be done. David Holt made the motion.
So we have a motion and a second for denial. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Motion to deny it approved. Moving on to F, discuss and/or approve a Class B beer or liquor license for 3 Sheets LLC for Jack. I talked to the chief and they have no concerns. Would entertain any motion from this body.
Barnett, I'll make a motion to approve Class B beer liquor license for 3 Sheets LLC, Jack Lafferty, agent.
Holt, second.
Everyone all at the same time. Mr. Anderson?
Well, I just wondered, what determines when something like this comes to us and when
It always comes to you.
it always does?
Most of them come in the month of July because that's the month in which, or June, because the July 1st is the date they renew. But this is being started up in the mid-year, so.
True.
You'll see anytime a bar opens up mid-year and they make an application, that's when you'll see them. But they all have to come to the council.
True. Ms. Michalowski?
Can you tell me where this is located?
So it used to be known as Quaddie's Place over by like Night Gallery, that section of town. Across from Mel's. Yeah. So, and I believe they're in the process of doing some remodeling and getting occupancy. So they're just working through boat channels to open efficiently. Mr. Kelly?
Didn't we, Nancy Lorbeski applied for a license for this particular building, and it was in pretty rough shape, and we gave her instructions. If she would get this done and that done, and basically plumbing work, we would review that and give her a license, but nothing ever happened, so this is the same building.
Drew, if we could have Fire Chief Brian come up. So Nancy no longer owns it, of course, so it has changed hands, and it's probably a couple years ago. I know, Brian, you've been in the building relatively recently. Does it seem to be close to being operational, or?
Yeah, as far as the bar goes, he's pretty much done. He's just got to remove some things from a storage room for us, and he's pretty much ready to open up. There is the rental units above that he does have where he had the water leak and stuff. He does have that closed up now. The ceiling's all closed up. That's all been remediated. He does have some open orders on a fire escape on the back side of that, which we have to give him time to take care of, to rebuild. That's up through the building inspections department right now.
But just to clarify, from your point of view from fire, there is no reason why the fire escape would not allow him to have a liquor license or a bar, or just be
Not for the
occupancy
bar.
on the second level.
Not for the bar.
So from their point of view, it's almost there.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, and then believe we would need a motion, right? Or do we have a motion? So we have a motion second. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Motion passes. Refer to Austin.
Just want to jump in and say we are, I think it's right now, this would be the 26th Class B retail combo license that we do have, and we have a limit of 32 in these city limits. Then we have to look at reserve licenses, but I just wanted to make council aware that we are approaching kind of our max on Class B retail combos, which would be any typical bar or restaurant that serves both beer and liquor.
Okay. Moving on to G, which is discuss and/or approve assessment schedule for weights and measures 2022. Refer to Austin.
All right, so this is the annual assessment that the clerk's office by ordinance is required to bring to council. So the state of Wisconsin will go through and do their Weights and measures check with a random audit of a bunch of different businesses. They send the city a bill. In our ordinance, we state that the clerk will present this assessment schedule to reclaim those funds that we are paying the state. So how we came to the numbers as seen in your packet, we added up the total amount of hours that the state spent at these businesses, and we divided the total amount that the bill was. So you can see it. I think it's billed at, I think it's about 73.93 an hour. So that's how much we've assessed each of these places. So you can see certain businesses, they've only spent a half hour there. Some of them, they spent extended amounts of time actually making sure their points of sale was registering the correct taxes, their scales were correct. If it's a gas station, they were getting the amount of gas that the customer was paying for. So we bring this to council for council to approve it, and then we put it as a special assessment on these property owners.
Any questions or discussion?
Barnett, I make a motion to approve assessment schedule for weights and measures 2022.
Anderson, second.
Okay, with that, since it is a dollar amount, clerk, please take the roll call.
David Holt,
Aye.
Stephen Ropek, Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Leanne Felton.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then the next steps for this, now I will send out a letter to each of these property owners stating that the council has approved this assessment, and then they have 30 days before they start collecting delinquent fees and whatnot. So the mailings will be coming out as of tomorrow.
Yeah, we got to talk about that code thing.
Okay, would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Daniel, I will make a motion, if necessary, convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.851 sub E, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, and deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. A, discuss status of negotiations with the Rhinelander Professional Police Association, Local 38. B, discuss litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. C, adjourn closed session and return to open session. And D, take action as necessary.
Hold second.
Okay, with that, clerk, please take the roll call.
Thomas Barnett,
Aye.
Leanne Felton,
Aye.
Carrie Mikulowski,
Aye.
Tom Kelly,
Aye.
Gerald Anderson,
Aye.
David Holt,
Aye.
Eileen Daniel,
Aye.
Stephen Ropek.
Motion passes. It is 6:29 and we'll be going into closed session. With that, it is 6:40. We have came out of closed session with nothing to report. Moving on to future agenda item requests. Mr. Barnett?
I would like to request that we put together a work session for street department and council and all those interested about the discussing the snow removal policy that we have on record, just for educational and maybe some action items.
Okay. Any other requests for future agenda items? Not seeing none. Our next meeting will be January 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. It is 6:40, meeting adjourned.